The views expressed on NAIA Football with Dannelly and Donley do not reflect the views of the NAIA National Office, its conferences, or its member institutions. Film review of NAIA football games is made possible by Huddle. Huddle connects Dannelly and Donley with game film to review and give in-depth analysis of NAIA football. This program also airs live each week on the Urban Edge Network. UEN connects fans with the live videos they want on a daily basis, plus exclusive coverage of all the NAIA championships on the Urban Edge Network. This program is part of the extensive coverage of NAIA athletics from the Victory Sports Network. VSN has been in the business of NAIA athletics since 2002. Join us online at victorysportsnetwork.com.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is John Gruden, the old coach, down here in Tampa, Florida, just studying some football. And I just got to tell you, there is nobody covering NAIA football like the Victory Sports Network. Nobody. They've been doing it for over 20 years, and they know how great football is at this level. Now let's get going. Here is NAIA Football with Dannelly and Donley. Let's go.
NAIA football is the true version of what college football is supposed to be. And it is the best classroom experience an 18 to 22-year-old male can have. One of the most valuable parts of a college education is that experience. It's life in a microcosm, and it's just something special for a young man to have to experience.
And don't you let a moment go without thinking about what's there for you to reach out and grasp.
Here we go. This is NAIA Football with Dannelly and Donley. I'm Jason Dannelly. Thank you so much for joining us this weekend. And you got to love the fact that you get John Gruden in on the message now. Gruden, man, you can't go wrong when Gruden's pumping you up, getting the show going.
Dannelly and Donley.
Donley. Let's go.
It's good stuff, man. I love it. It was really it was one of those things like we had to do that just because he's come up in this show so many times. So it makes total sense. Yeah. Awesome you got that done. That's cool, man. Very cool. I feel like we're like really legit now. Like, I don't know, like having a guy like John Gruden, a part of the intro, like we're official, man. This is like a real show.
We're official. We put a gun to his head and he recorded an intro for us, and hey, it worked out pretty good. Yeah, checking out some NAIA football down here, man. It's great.
Good stuff.
Anyway, all right. So he's Pat Donnelly. I'm Jason Dannelly. We're talking NAIA football. Big weekend of NAIA football. Pat's going to come back, join me in just a moment. We're going to roll through a couple of the initial games that we had going here in the world of NAIA football. So Pat will rejoin us here in just a second. Let's get into the world that was NAIA football this weekend. We had some nice ones. We had some real good games. Hold on, gotta get my music going. The background music going as I roll through these. St. Francis gets the win over Taylor University. 49-35. Nice game by Josh Kolka. 295 yards, 5 touchdowns. Wallace carries for 137 yards in a score. A little bit of a vengeance game from last year's loss at Taylor University. St. Ambrose holds on for most of the game, but Missouri Valley comes away with the win with 8 seconds left to play. That's right, St. Ambrose led the way for this entire game, but Missouri Valley kicks a field goal to win it 28-30. Hey, Vikings, they are now 3-2 on the season. Nice start for the Vikings. Yeah, primetime performance from Walgreens. Josh Kolka, no doubt, 14 for 23, 295, 5 touchdowns, going to 5 different wide receivers. Heck of a ball game for Kolka and your Cougars. All right, elsewhere. Concordia Mount Marty, we put up 1 billion yards and 1 billion points in this game. Concordia remains undefeated at 4-0. Mount Marty falls to 3-2. Carlos Collazo comes away with a school record now, 283 yards. And then Rugby Riken throws the ball 74 times in this game for 424 yards in the loss. Kansas Wesleyan looked like that they were inching along to get the victory in this game, but Evangel pulls it out in the end. Reed Potts, 17 for 27, 179 yards. Brock Lyle had a reception for an 18-yard touchdown, that being the only touchdown in the game in the fourth quarter. Carlos Collazo gets our primetime performance from Panera Bread. Say that 17 times real fast. 39 carries, 283 yards, 2 scores for Collazo to get our primetime performance in that one. Well, Friends wasn't able to score 70 points in this game, but they still came away with the victory over Ottawa. Ottawa may be providing a little bit of a roadmap to teams to get some success against that Friends offense and defense. 28-7 to Darian Sykes, 12 carries, 144 yards, and to score Cordova at 123 yards. Friends did have 2 fumbles in this game. Dickinson State, Mayville. This one goes to overtime, and Mayville State gets the victory over the Blue Hawks. Blue Hawks were rated in the top 15 to start the season. They've now lost 3 straight. Their record should be 2-3 on theirs. Pardon me, not 2-2. 34-32. Aiden Marcuson, 6 of 12, 144 yards passing. Cameron Spay, 3 catches and 103 yards for the Comets in this one. Primetime performance. Let's give it to the entire Mayville State team. Their first win over Dickinson State in 19 games. I believe it was 2011. It's like a 15-13 win that Mayville State had over Dickinson back then. So Mayville, great job for them getting above 500. They're now 3-2. Cumbersland and Campbellsville. Again, 1 billion yards in this game. Campbellsville improves to 6-0. Trey Bass, just give him the National Player of the Week award right now. 17 carries, 201 yards, 3 touchdowns, 6 catches, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns there for him. Not a bad run for Mr. Bass. UC quarterback Drew Gregg, he threw a bunch of passes in this game, 62 of them, in fact, for 425 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. 516 total yards for the University of Cumberland. Campbellsville University, 434, as you can see right there. Nine. Not a lot of offense in this game. Gale Force wins in Hastings, Nebraska. They said gusts 35 to 45 miles an hour. The only touchdown in the game scored by linebacker Wyatt Ryan. A 5-yard interception return for a touchdown. That gives the Broncos the victory. Big win for the Broncos, but no doubt, peak performance, primetime performance coming to you from Chick-fil-A, Trey Bass of Campbellsville, 201, 115, 5 tuds. Not bad for the young man. I just had to put the Southwestern game up there because Southwestern's just rolling through people at this point. 62-0. Avila falls to 0-6. Aiden Koenig, 9 catches, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns in the game for Southwestern. We said Briarcliff Dort, hey, watch out, Dort. Maybe got too high last week with that win over Northwestern. What's going to happen? Well, Dort came out and did a Dort thing this week. 51-0. They shut out Briarcliff, who was 4-1 coming into this game. Preston McCoy, 3 carries, 112 yards. That's pretty good average. And a touchdown for him. Our primetime performance, well, we don't really have one from those two. They were just a bunch of highly scored games. Big offense in those. So with that said, let's bring in Mr. Donley into this one. Oh, wrong angle. There we go. Pat, there's a bunch of football games there to start the day. And any one of them pique your interest?
Yeah, a bunch of football games. Yeah, there's a couple there. The St. Francis Taylor game was pretty interesting for a period of time. I thought it was a pretty good first half, and I thought St. Francis kind of imposed their will in the second half. I think I'm not sure Taylor's quite as physical as they were a year ago, Jason. I think they're still a quality team. I think they had a little injury at quarterback as well. Played a couple different guys, so I think there was an injury that kept their starter out. I think they're a pretty decent team, and I think St. Francis is improving from what we've seen in week 1. So I think they're on the rise. I think you have them. We'll talk about those teams on the rise here a little bit later. They're 4-1, playing some pretty decent football. They've got some weapons and doing some good things. And Josh Culk is a really great player. I think they're playing well right now. And then, there's a couple others there. Friends is kind of like a head scratcher to some level, not putting up the huge points that we've seen the last few weeks. But they're still winning games, and they are a nightmare to prepare for and defend, and they're getting it done. And, Dort, I go back and say, okay, we talked about the potential. Briarcliff is on cloud 9 from what they've been in their program's history of being undefeated and going into this game and at least having what you think is a puncher's chance. And no. Dort's
Yeah.
obviously stellar on defense, as we know, and I think that offense, obviously now, is keeping pace with that tremendous defense and putting points on the board like this. So that's a huge win because, again,
Yeah.
we talked about, Dort is playing great football, but, I mean, Briar Cliff, has won some big-time games this season. So, those are some interesting games. Again, the scores were kind of puzzling on some. So,
Yeah, and the thing I look at with that Dort game, so obviously they beat Northwestern last week. They beat Briar Cliff, who's got a winning record, this week. So you kind of start saying, all right, Dort Morningside, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
That game is the final week of the season.
there you go.
So could be playing for a conference championship the last week of the season. One of them gets the automatic. The other one, they're going to get into the postseason if they're both undefeated going into that point. But getting the cart way in front of the horse on that one. The other one that I checked out for a while there yesterday afternoon, kind of tuned it in the fourth quarter, was Cumberland's and Campbellsville. UC really had a shot late in that game to go down the field, potentially tie things up. And they threw an interception right at midfield. Campbellsville kind of had a negative play for about 2 yards, and then Trey Bass rips off a 50-yard run for the score, and that got it to that final score that we saw there. So Campbellsville got played tight by Cumberland's. Cumberland's has got a big game this week that we'll talk about a little bit later on. And you just think that, with them playing close and playing tough competition, they're going to get one of these one time. And I'm just kind of looking at Cumberland's as, all right, I think they're going to start turning the corner here. But Campbellsville continuing to win, continue being the Fighting Tiger program that we thought they would be at the beginning of the year.
Yes, find ways to win. And you're going to get tested in the Mid-South. There's no doubt. There's too many quality teams. And again, Cumberland's is another one of those that, we kind of said, keep your eye on this game. Obviously, it was highlighted in that, Campbellsville's going to get some punches thrown, and that certainly happened. And I was following that score too, Jason, obviously, down to the wire. And good for Cumberland's. It's something to build on because it's an undefeated football team, a team that's playing very, very well this season. And they're right, down to the wire with them. So that's something to build on if you're Shane Housekeeper.
Yeah, the Mid-South is going to be very interesting, and we'll talk more about that when we get up into the featured game, because obviously we're going to talk about Lindsey Wilson, Georgetown. Obviously we're going to talk about the William Penn Grandview game. But first up, I think we need to talk about Florida Memorial and Southeastern. This was a game that was on the radar. I had it as, one of the games to look forward to, but I kind of thought like, hey, this is going to be a good game. Southeastern's going to pull it out, but we're going to learn something. We learned something about Florida Memorial. They stepped up in this game, Pat, played very physical up front. When I watched Southeastern play earlier this year, I always felt like they were the more physical team in the trenches. Their offensive line was going out, getting blocks. Their defense was going and, providing the smack on opponents. This game was very different for them. I felt like Florida Memorial in many ways was the aggressor in this game. And Florida Memorial ends up pulling out the victory. So a huge win for that FMU program.
Completely agree. I don't think it was Southeastern's best effort, Jason. Just my opinion.
Yeah.
Just watching it. But give credit to Florida Memorial. Tons of big plays. And they have weapons, Jason. You're talking speed.
Yeah, they do.
I thought Wiggins delivered the ball exceptionally well down the field. Some deep one-on-one throws, 40, 50-yard completions for big plays. I thought they did a tremendous job. Breaking tackles in the run game and getting some big plays, timely screens executed for big plays. There was a swing pass that was a screen, it's a swing screen to the tailback and went for like 65, 70. So big plays that led to scores. And I thought Florida Memorial played exceptionally hard and wanted to win that game in a hostile environment. What a beautiful setting at Southeastern. And went in there and won a road game, which is not easy to do. And I thought they played exceptional. At the same time, Jason, I don't think Southeastern played their best. And I think they were probably there's big games down the road in this league. We all know it, right? And they got the two big ones coming up that they haven't played yet. And this is kind of once it's like, a team maybe wanted a little bit more last night and beat them. But I think they're a good team. And I expect them to win the games they're supposed to remaining and put a pretty good forth a great effort playing Kaiser, playing St. Thomas as well. I think they're right in that mix of being a potential playoff team, but this is one they kind of stubbed their toe on, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think people get deceived maybe a little bit by Florida Memorial. They look at their record and they go, "Well, 2-2, gosh, how good are they really?" Well, you have to understand, they lose week 1 on the road at Reinhardt, and we know Reinhardt is a quality football program. They're going to be competing for their conference title, and then they lost on the road to Clark Atlanta, a D2 team. So that's their 2 losses. So a road loss to a good NAI school, and then they go get a very nice road win here. I think you got to consider Florida Memorial in the talks for the Sun Conference. Obviously, you still got Kaiser. Obviously, you still got St. Thomas. Southeastern is still in the mix. You've got a really solid top 4 right now in the Sun Conference. And watching this game the way that I was last night, I felt like there was times that Wiggins was getting a lot of pressure on him, and he's going back foot, just heaving that thing, and you're thinking, where's that thing going? Finds a receiver, so I don't think he is maybe as mobile as a quarterback as his counterpart was last night, Nate Michael. I think he's a little more fleet of foot, but Wiggins, big kid at the quarterback position, and did a really good job delivering it. And I'll talk more about this when we get into our primetime performance for this game, but very impressed by Gerard Sims, the running back. He had a couple catches out of the backfield, ran the ball very well. He totaled 3 touchdowns in this game. He's a transfer out of Southern University. And you just look at the firepower that I think Florida Memorial has. And that's something that we've talked about in the last couple of years. They've put up a lot of points. They've always been a team that has had a really good offense, but it's been their defense that maybe lets them down a little bit. And in this game, I felt like their defense stepped up. They got pressure on Southeastern. Michael wasn't able to throw the ball maybe as comfortably as he would want. And had to maybe throw the ball a little bit more in this game than previously. 31 passes in this game, completed 16 for 142. The part that really surprised me was how Florida Memorial controlled the run game of Southeastern. The Fire was not able to run the football with, some of the deception they have. They do a lot of misdirection out of that backfield. They got a lot of different speed coming out of that backfield, and Florida Memorial matched that every step of the way. My last thought on this game, Southeastern wise, Thomas Ibrahim is a monster in the middle of that defense for Southeastern. I mean, he forced a fumble late that helped Southeastern get the ball back. I think they ended up kicking a field goal to go up. The other thing to talk about in this game is, Southeastern had 2 other opportunities with makeable field goals, not chip shots at all, but they weren't, 55-yard blasts that they had to get through, and they missed 2 field goals. So special teams play, obviously cleaning that up a little bit. That might help you out in this game. But Florida Memorial took full advantage of this one. Pat ended up getting the victory.
Totally agree. And I'm with you, Jason. They can score points because I think Southeastern's defense is strong. I mean,
yeah,
we saw playmaking. You alluded to a couple individuals that are tremendous players, and I totally agree with you. And if Florida Memorial can hold serve and really contain run game, especially, I think that's a key element in this league. I think their offense can score points with anybody. I mean, I really do. And they have some, tremendous weapons that can get behind people in the passing game. They've got explosive backs. And I think Wiggins is a playmaker enough. And again, he's not your prototypical dual threat guy. He reminds me of Jason's kind of old guy stuff. He's like a Steve McNair type. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
that build.
Yes.
Yeah. Throws a good ball. I love how he throws it. I mean, he really spins the ball well. But he's kind of like a big lower half, stocky dude. He's got a nice arm, makes good decisions. I really like how he throws the ball. I mean, it's really pretty how it comes off his hand. So I'm very, very impressed with him. And he delivers it, man. I mean, a couple of times you were talking about Jason, like, he'd be dropping back, there'd be pressure, and he'd throw the ball. You're not, where's it going? Well, part of the problem was the camera angles. We'll go. That's a whole thing. But no, I thought Wiggins was very, very good, and I love the weapons of Florida Memorial, and I'm anxious to see how they match up with the Kaisers, the St. Thomases, because Reinhardt. You talk about Reinhardt, losing to Reinhardt, knowing Reinhardt the way that we do. I mean, that's like athlete on athlete. I mean, everywhere. I mean, that's tremendous. Yes. So, I'd like when we talk about Florida Memorial, they're going to match up from an athletic standpoint against anyone in the country. I think so. I honestly believe that, Jason. They can really move, and they are explosive, no doubt.
So I have 2 critiques. You alluded to one of them, and that'll be my second critique. Maybe this first one is like old man yelling at clouds, because I feel like it's that. But can we do away with the same number on offense and defense? Because early in this game, I'm watching Gerard Sims run the football. And then all of a sudden I'm like, holy, what was he in on that tackle? No, that was Fernando Genti on their defensive line wearing number 4. I mean, Genti, 8 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. Dumb guy like me that doesn't watch your games very often, I have that brief moment in my head like, he's going both ways. Nope, I'm an idiot.
Travis Hunter.
But yeah. It would be very impressive if he would have been playing that way as a defensive lineman. And
do you know how that all started, Jason? Can I tell you how it all started?
Please do, because
it's 100% from the Division I level down. Is what it is.
Okay.
Because I mean, again, you have a staff of 27 people. They can pay attention to make sure you're not overlapping numbers on special teams. You can dot I's and cross T's, because the thing is, like, yeah, offensive guy, top recruit wants number 1. Well, so is a defensive top recruit. So you have to promise both. That's how it all started. It's now trickled down to smaller levels, and it's a nightmare. And I have seen numerous occasions of special teams, both number 4s are out there together, and there's a penalty. Yeah. So I'm with you on it. It's annoying, to say the least.
Especially at this level. Like, I get it. If you're carrying a roster of 120, 130, it's going to be tough not to have some of those issues. But just to willingly be like, we're going to have 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s, 2 number 3s, 2 number 4s. Like, what are we like? Stop it. You're killing me.
And everyone does. Everyone does it now. Everyone.
I appreciate the dudes out there that just have like that don't care about what my number is. Like, they're a tight end and they're like number 91. They're like, I'm fine with that. Or they're a wide receiver and, you know, running like wearing 88, which back in the day, like 88 as a wide receiver, that was a wide receiver number. Now, if a wide receiver is running it, it's wearing that number. It's like, oh, that guy must not be very good.
Michael Irvin. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. And then the other critique, you alluded to it, at Southeastern, do have to call you out here a little bit. And I'll do this like when I talk to one of my employees about an improvement plan. Your cameras are beautiful. There are not any better shots in the NAIA of the stadium and of the gameplay than what Southeastern has on their broadcast. If you have not watched it on the Urban Edge Network, it's archived. Go to the Urban Edge Network broadcast of Southeastern Florida Memorial. Look at these beautiful drone shots. Now the critique. For the love of God, please stop switching the camera in the middle of the play. For the love of God. Jason. When we have the high 50 and we're following the game, there is no need to switch to keep it on the big one. Keep it on the big one up top, and then afterwards go to the other one. Run it on the replay. If you don't have replay, like, tell me where I can send a Venmo to help you like afford a replay module.
Jason.
Yes, Pat.
Gerard Sims' touchdown. It was a tailback screen. And it was an unbelievable play. I want to say it was at least 60-yard plus touchdown. Jason, I'm not kidding you. They switched the camera angle 3 times mid-play. And you have no idea what happened. You saw the ball thrown. I could see the tackle released to block, so I knew it was a screen. You see Sims catch the ball. 3 switches in the middle of the play. Next thing you know, he's celebrating in the end zone. You have no idea how the hell he got there.
Stay on the high 50 as much as you can during the play. And you have a beautiful high 50. From watching the game, it seems like you should be able to do this. Now, maybe there's an obstruction next to the camera, and if they go further, they're going to hit it. I don't know. I don't think so. And I realize we're dealing with students. This is a teachable thing. We're probably dealing with students. I'm assuming we're dealing with, students kind of running the switcher, doing all that sort of stuff. Just please keep it on the gameplay. Switch them before the play, switch them after the play. But when the play's going on, like get on that high 50, stay on that thing. Or if there's some people out there that broadcast, they got one on the 25 and one on a 25, like go to that as the play starts, follow it, stay wide. Once you see the ball get thrown, then you can kind of start your zoom and follow it. This comes from a guy that, my degree is in communications with the media emphasis. I used to put on national broadcasts of the week when I was with the College Fans Network. Like this is like one thing in my world I actually have experience in that I didn't have to like learn on the job. I actually went to school for it. Just please do that. All right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I'm with you. And I couldn't agree more that is there a better looking facility from a drone shot? Oh. My goodness. Night game at Southeastern. Guys, it's gorgeous. Please go look at it. I mean, it's just absolutely flawless the way it looks. But yeah, just because we've said it 1,000 times, I hate to be the dead horse. We're beating the dead horse again. Just because you have 5 cameras doesn't mean you have to use them every single play, especially mid-play.
Yeah.
Replays are great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, it's great. All right.
I have no idea how Sims scored that touchdown. I have no clue. They switched 3 times.
Well, we know he got in the end zone. We know
he got
that.
there. On celebration in the end zone, the tight camera in the end zone. But anyway.
Yeah, real nice.
Yeah, we're done. Sorry.
All right. Primetime performance from the American Diabetes Association. We're going to give it to Gerard Sims, running back, Florida Memorial, 44 yards on the ground, 95 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. He was the spark behind that Florida Memorial offense to get the victory. Onward we go. Well, I mean, we could be really short on our analysis of this game, but we're obviously going to go long. We could just say, hey, Grandview did Grandview things again. And just like go to the next slide. But this is the difference between, I think, the level that we see the Vikings are at in comparison to a lot of their peers. Their offensive and defensive lines are physical. They don't make, little holding mistakes and penalties like that. They didn't turn the ball over. They've got some special team stuff that they've got to tighten up, but you could just kind of see that pebble start at the top of the hill and just get rolling and picking up more debris as it goes and becomes a boulder by the time it's at the bottom and is just bowling people over at the very end. This is that's why they're number 1. That's why William Penn is number 20. I don't think there's anything I saw from William Penn that puts me into a giant alarm that, they were 5-0 and they were paper champions at 5-0. No, they played a really good Grandview team. I think they tried to do some things offensively and defensively that, trying to win the game and just didn't work out for them because they were going up against a better opponent in this one.
Totally agree. William Penn had some moments of moving the ball.
Absolutely.
Fumbled one time on a bad exchange in the option game. A couple things like that. I'm going to draw a comparison to something I saw one time at the Fort Wayne Zoo. I have small kids. We used to go to the lion display at the Fort Wayne Zoo. Have you ever seen a lion kind of play with its food? Yeah. It's like, it's got this big juicy hunk of meat and just kind of like playing with it. And it's like eventually they're just going to okay, I'm going to devour this. That's what Grandview looked like yesterday. Yeah. It's like, and I'm not disparaging William Penn. I think William Penn, they're a good football team. They're a 5-1 team, excited for their success. Grandview's on a different level. Defensively, certainly the collection of 11 hats, the playmaking ability. I mean, Jason, anytime a ball is defended and gets tipped, it's going to be picked off by Grandview. It's just like guaranteed. They're going to make plays on it. The pass rush is ridiculous. The way they tackle so well. Then offensively, Jason, I'm going to say this, and I'm not disparaging the Statesman. I'm a fan. I'm excited for their success. Jackson Waring could have literally sat back there and thrown the football for 7-8 seconds. I mean, there was no pass rush. I have never seen a game with less pass rush in my entire life. I'm serious. It looked like 7. Let me put it in perspective. If I was coaching 7-on-7, I would blow the whistle. The 7-on-7, no pass rush now. This is just a skeleton, right? In practice, coach stuff here. I would blow the whistle at my quarterback for holding the ball too long. And this is actually happening in a real game. He's sitting back there for 3.5, 4 seconds doing this and moving around and changing the angle and letting receivers, he's scrambling around and letting them break free into space and delivering the ball. It's just unbelievable. Their offensive line, Jason, back to my original point, is lights out. It's the best in the NAIA. I don't think it's even close at this point. I mean, the way they pass protect, the way they get off the football and are physical in the run game against big people. Like William Penn is big up front, and they are getting movement. They look like a lion, devouring a steak. It's like, well, we'll get to it. It's just like it's time to take over this game and beat people up offensively, and then defensively, we're going to go attack. I mean, it's what they do. They're just there's not any weaknesses other than their punt team's a disaster right now. They got to figure that out. I'm sure EJ is literally losing his mind today because the only way William Penn scored was because of the punt team situation. They had a block punt for the safety, and then punter dropped one to give William Penn a short field. I think they scored late, didn't they, Jason? Yeah,
they did score late, but they had to stop William Penn on that drive. Because I think they got the ball at the 30-yard line or something like that. Yeah,
early in the game. So the first punt of the game that Grandview had, dropped the punt. William Penn got the ball, but I think Grandview got it back, caused a turnover, and got it back. Then they had the block punt. the safety. So, if there's anything the Vikings need to work on today is they got to short their punt team because that will hurt them in the long run, the playoffs especially. But Jason, this team's going to win out. I mean, it's not even close right now, in my opinion, of where they are. And it starts up front. It just does. Offensively, it starts up front. The pass protection. Jackson Waring is like, he can order a pizza and have it delivered. I mean, it's just all day he has back there. And then the physicality in the run game. And then you look at the defensive side, the tremendous defense, tackle well, playmaking ability. They're a good football team once again, Jason, and as good as I've seen.
Yeah, I did the pregame show yesterday on the Urban Edge Network for the NAIA Clash of the Week. Appreciate everybody that checked that out. Apparently we had a pretty good viewership on it. And we were live, like I was kicking it to William Penn, and Drew Mason did a very nice job hosting on site. So great, big thanks to William Penn for all their efforts in making the NAIA Clash of the Week pregame show happen. But as I was going through and preparing for that, I got the two deeps from both teams, and I go through and I kind of do the comparison. Here's the offense, here's the defense, kind of position everybody up, see who we've got going up against everyone. And you look at that Grandview offensive line, and it's like senior, junior, or like redshirt junior, 310, 330, 290, 300, 6'3", 6'2", 6'4", like beef at this level. And then you go over to the defensive line for William Penn, and it's 260, 280, 250, 275, something like that. And it's sophomore, freshman, like one senior maybe. There's a lot of youth on that William Penn side. So the future is bright at William Penn. I think I did an analysis earlier this season on the entire roster for William Penn. And I'm going off memory here, but I want to say it was something like between juniors and seniors, I think they had 24 or 25 on roster, and everybody else was a freshman and sophomore. And you go through those starting lineups, and a good majority of everybody is freshman or sophomore. I mean, Sterling Ramsey is a senior as a quarterback, but earlier this season when he got injured, they had a redshirt freshman in Christian Benning starting for him. So William Penn, it's got a lot of youth. They've got a lot of characteristics of a program that's being built. And I think Coach Mark Benavidez is doing a fantastic job of getting the Statesman program going and, kind of taking things out, maybe a step here to the whole conference, the Heart North Conference. Grandview is number one with a bullet. There's no debating that. We've had debate. Who's number two? Is it William Penn? Is it Peru State? Is it Graceland? Out of seeing those three teams perform the last couple of weeks, and granted they haven't gone up against one another, I think William Penn is number two right now. You follow that by Peru State, and I don't know what's happening at Graceland, to be honest. They lost to Culver Stockton yesterday. They lost to Clark. I know they've got a quarterback that their starting quarterback had gotten injured earlier this season, so they've been kind of playing backup. But I mean, if you're kind of on that verge of wanting to become an elite program, which I feel like Graceland was kind of on that verge this year, when a quarterback goes down, when a key player goes down, you should be built in a way that you've got other guys are going to step up. And it just seems like they're kind of going through some hiccups right now. I think Phil Stabeck will get them back on path. But going back to William Penn, I think they're number two in this conference right now. And if they continue winning, we're going to see them in the postseason.
Totally agree. Yeah. I mean, I think they have a great chance because the balance offensively. I love Ramsey. Like you said, Jason. I think they've got some youth, but they've got some guys that can get things done. I love their balance offensively. I think that right there. And the thing is, they move the ball against the best defense in the country. They had their moments, and I totally agree with you. I think they're the second best team in this league, and they get in the playoffs, and you never know what can happen. But they are not on the Grandview level. That's for sure.
100%. Primetime performance of this game. I'm going to go with the tight end on this one, Pat. And watching this game, I'm one of those guys that, I'm watching fullbacks. I'm watching tight ends. I'm watching inside linebackers trying to look for big performances. And I really felt like Lance Clayburgh stepped up big in this game, had a couple nice routes to get open, had a couple touchdowns in this game. That's just another weapon that you're giving a quarterback like Jackson Waring. And I felt like Lance Clayburgh played a game yesterday that made me go, okay. So Grandview's getting tight end play again this year too. They've always seemed like pretty good, decent blocking tight ends, big guys. And Clayburgh's a big guy. I think he's 6'3", 235. I mean, he's a good sized ball player. He played very well yesterday. And knowing that Grandview's got another weapon that they're utilizing, not just their running back by committee, not just Asia Toki on the outside. Oh, we've got a tight end that's going to score for us now too. Great news for everybody else in the league.
Yeah, no doubt. And you tell that they think the world of Clayburgh because he gets so much of the tight end screens. They'll give
Yeah.
him an opportunity to be, the recipient of the screen and, make plays with the ball in his hands. And he is a physical runner and athletic. Love the way he catches it. So nice teddy bear for the national or the returning national player of the year has another safety valve and a great tight end.
I liked his first touchdown that he had yesterday. I think they motioned Toki across the formation, and Toki kind of ran a little corner route into the end zone, drew everybody over there, and he was kind of did a little block and release, got in the end zone, and wearing just with a little jump pass to him, catches it in the end zone for the first touchdown. And right then I was watching that going, oh, okay, they've got that in their arsenal now. Great. That's real good for everyone else.
I'm not sure it was a great decision by Waring, but yeah, Clayburgh went kind of bailed him out. I mean, it was a defendable pass, kind of hung in the air,
Yes.
and Clayburgh went and got it. Yeah, I'm with you, Jason. He's an impressive player.
Moving on to our final featured game of the week, Lindsey Wilson and Georgetown. Early on, Lindsey Wilson and Georgetown really were battling through the first quarter in this one. And I thought Georgetown was doing a good job of snuffing out Lindsey Wilson's run, kind of forcing them to have to throw the ball to get first downs, really holding them at bay. But as this game wore on, we saw Lindsey Wilson be able to develop that run. Tay Saunders goes for 153 yards and 3 scores in this game. And as Lindsey Wilson was able to develop that run, loosen things up, the passing game just came along. Sherrard ended up having another big game, 156 yards. Saunders got into the mix, had 41 yards through the air as well, kind of on some screens and everything. And great performance by Tate Rice, their quarterback as well. I mean, I was impressed with Lindsey Wilson. Georgetown hung in this game. Sloneker, 168 yards, did have an interception. Bailey carried the ball well for him, 140 yards rushing, as you can kind of see all the stats and everything there. I felt like for a quarter and a half, we were really seeing all right, let's watch these guys do battle. And then Lindsey Wilson just kind of wore down, pulled them away.
Yeah, totally agree with the balance offensively for Lindsey Wilson. I think Tate Rice is improving every week. Jason, I'll be honest with you. I think he's getting better and better. I think he makes some really good decisions. He's asked to do a lot. In the air raid system, Jason, it's a ton of run pass option. There's balance to it. And I think their running game is one of the better features of this offense. And again, the air raid system, you're spreading people out, you're moving, there's tons of formations, things like that. But I think they do a great job of really establishing run game. They do a very, very good job of that. And then I think, Tate Rice is doing a good job distributing the football to some weapons. And I'm going to say this, Jason, and I think as he continues to improve, I'm going to be bold and say something. I watched Grandview and Lindsey Wilson back to back.
Okay.
Maybe the two best I've seen. I'm just going to tell you. I mean, I am seeing Lindsey Wilson on a different level. That's just my opinion. If they get top-end quarterback play, I think the speed, the group up front, the ball carriers, all the elements here of a successful football team. I don't want to jinx these guys. I think they're really quality. I mean, they're up there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen some good football teams this year. I think they are absolutely in consideration for one of the best I've seen, one of the best. Because I don't see a whole lot of weakness, Jason. They run collectively well on defense. They have guys, man. And I don't know how they got them all to this rural part of Kentucky, but my goodness, they're a talented group. I mean, they are fun to watch. And in Georgetown, just outgunned. I mean, it's just what it was. I mean, it's kind of similar. You give them credit to hanging in as long as they did. But I kind of felt the way like Grandview and William Penn were as well. Like Georgetown's a pretty good team, but they're not on the level of Lindsey Wilson right now. Just the talent across the board, the speed, Lindsey Wilson did a great job attacking coverages and getting big plays. And getting some really speed players the ball down the field, let them do something with it and create big plays. I'm very impressed with this team. I mean, collectively, just great speed, physicality, all the elements you want for a successful football team. And I'm anxious to see there's a game coming down the road against probably 2 undefeated teams in this league, Jason, that are very good. And I think Lindsey Wilson is one of the best I've seen in the nation this year.
And I'm like you, based on what I've seen on film, we always talk about like how deep the NAIA is. And as we've gotten through 5-6 weeks of play here, I'm starting to see a little separation. And I feel like we kind of have a top group. Then we have a pretty big middle group in here. But in that top group, I'm obviously going Grandview, Kaiser, Benedictine, Morningside, Montana Tech, Friends, Lindsey Wilson. I think they're in that top group. And right on the edge of that, I think, is Montana Western. And their game coming up this week against Carroll College is going to say, okay, are you here? Or are you at the lead of this level? I think that's what we see. That next group of Montana Western, St. Thomas, Southeastern, Georgetown, Campbellsville, Dort, Marion, Ottawa, Arizona, Indiana Wesleyan, Carroll, Southwest. I mean, the rest of the way through the top 25, I feel like there's not a lot of difference between number 9 and number 21 right now, number 13 and number 22. Yeah, those teams are rated higher. We think are better right now. But if they were to lose to one of those, I wouldn't be shocked by it. I feel like these teams that we kind of see in the top 7 right now, they're kind of the elite teams. We might see an 8th team join them. But I'm with you with Lindsey Wilson based on what I've seen them do this year. I mean, knocking off St. Thomas. Okay. That was a big win. Knocking off Texas Wesleyan. That's a big win. Knocking off Georgetown. That's a big win. I mean, 3 big wins there. And I mean, they've been playing tremendous football all year. And Reinhardt. Yeah. And then I think Phil Kleckner's doing a great job getting things, going again down there. It's not like there was ever a drop off. They've been playing in a good conference and just happened to be the team that was second or third or kind of, ended up in the mix. They've definitely continued to elevate their play. And we're seeing why Lindsey Wilson as a football program as a whole, going back to the Chris Oliver days and getting to national championships, winning national championships. We're seeing why Lindsey Wilson has been able to rise to this level again. They're just a quality football program.
I think you nailed it, Jason. I couldn't agree more with your assessment of who the top teams are. And honestly, and I think St. Thomas can still prove themselves. I still think, obviously Kaiser's a tremendous football team. I'm not saying that. I'm going to say Lindsey Wilson's kind of taken the spot for me of St. Thomas and Texas Wesleyan. From a national hierarchy where I had kind of my thoughts preseason. Yep. If you remember the preseason show, I thought Texas Wesleyan and I thought St. Thomas is probably top 5, top 6 in the country. I think, and I didn't have Lindsey Wilson in consideration. To me, they have slid in that spot, in my opinion, of being a true top 5, top 6 in this affiliation. And I'll tell you right now, Jason, there's a couple teams in Indiana that I think are pretty darn good too. With Marion, Indiana Wesleyan, and we'll see about St. Francis. But I know sure as heck those two that played last week in Indianapolis, Marion and Indiana Wesleyan, are top 10, top 12 teams too, no doubt. Yeah, I did both better than Georgetown, in my opinion. I'm rooting for Georgetown. I lived in Georgetown when I was a little kid. They're both better than Georgetown, in my opinion. Yep. And again, I think Georgetown's going to have a great season, as they get through this thing, but they're not at the Lindsey Wilson level right now.
Yeah, you kind of think where that elite level in the Mid-South Conference was the last couple of years. Georgetown was kind of at that level. They were at the top program. I think we're seeing that change over to Lindsey Wilson, maybe Campbellsville, depending on how that all works out. And Georgetown, not a bad team, not a bad program. They just, a couple teams are better, and they're having to make some improvements in some areas that maybe they weren't anticipating to have to improve in this year. Still top 25 program. At this point, I'd say they're still an NAIA Championship Series qualifier, and once you're in there, who knows what's going to happen? But that's just kind of where we're at with that. All right, let's go to this primetime performance. Give it to Tate Rice. This is this quarterback that did not start at the beginning of the year. He's carried Lindsey Wilson now through their last couple games, 275 yards, only 1 touchdown. But the key, and I always talk about this in these big games, no turnovers. You get a quarterback that maybe hasn't started a bunch of games, doesn't have a whole bunch of experience. You get into these games, they throw a pick, they fumble a snap, they got to dive on top of a bad snap, they get chased out and the ball gets knocked out of their hand. Didn't see that from Tate Rice yesterday. He stepped up, played a big game. Primetime performance brought to you by Blue Diamond Almonds in this one. Ooh, those sound good right now, actually.
Everybody loves almonds.
The almonds. Gotta love the almonds. Tate Rice, 275 yards. Great performance by him. So
getting better and better each week. Better and better each week. He has turned into a good football player, Jason. I said a couple weeks ago talking about Lindsey Wilson. I thought they're a national quarterback, a national player of the year quarterback away from being maybe as good as what I thought they were in 2019 when they won it all. Tate's getting better and better every week, Jason. This is going to be an interesting push, I think, getting through the conference and into the playoffs for Lindsey Wilson, because I think they are the real deal.
I watched the post-game show interview with Phil Kleckner, and he said something I thought was very interesting. They had a bye week last week. And he said, we didn't start working on Georgetown until this week. Last week, we took time to kind of self-evaluate, get better at the things that we needed to get better at. And I think that's big because it gives the players a mental break from having to prepare for another team, gives them a chance to focus, make themselves into a better football player, albeit over just 5 days, but a lot can happen in those 5 days. And, kudos to Kleckner. I think the easy thing to do would say, hey, we got Georgetown next week. That's a top 10 team. That's a top 25 team. We need to start prepping for them right now, and just have the rightness of mind to say, no, let's get better as a team ourselves first, and then start looking at Georgetown. I think just shows you the direction that this program's going.
If I had to guess, Jason, I bet they did a lot of, we call it good on good. Ones versus ones, like your first unit you're in on defense and offense going against each other. Because here's the thing, Georgetown and Lindsey Wilson's offenses are almost carbon copies of each other. So that makes sense. So then you're really, you're putting a focal point of, hey, we're going to compete this bye week with, group 1 versus group 1 offense and defense, group 2 versus group 2. So it's very competitive because they're getting something out. Because again, from an offensive standpoint, those defenses are seeing those schemes with the Georgetown scheme. It's very, very similar. I mean, almost identical. I bet the verbiage is even the same. I mean, it's air raid stuff all the way. But I like that approach, and like in what you said, what Coach, what his approach was, I'm on board with, because I think that's really, really smart, and be competitive. And I guarantee they did that because they're getting so much out of that with the speed and also some scheme overlap as well.
All right, let's get into the rest of the top 25, roll through this. And one thing, it kind of going back to what you mentioned about Kaiser, I watched Kaiser, went back and watched Kaiser week 0. They played Indiana Wesleyan. I was at the Benedictine Morningside game, so I had to go back and watch that one film. So I watched that. But to be honest, since that game, I have not watched really any Kaiser football. I was going to watch Bethel. I saw 7 minutes, and then the game got forfeited. So I haven't watched as much Kaiser this year. They're rolling through people. Thomas completely overmatched this week. Benedictine, overmatches or outmatches, outplays, whatever you want to say. Missouri Baptist, they're just a better team. Same with Morningside. And then Montana Tech, they had a little bit of a battle with Dakota State, but I kind of thought that this would happen, where Dakota State would go there, be able to score. They'd go toe-to-toe with them for a bit, but Montana Tech, just the better team. Anything out of this top 5 from you, Pat?
No, I'm looking really forward to see what Florida Memorial do against Kaiser next week, though. I'm looking forward to that one.
That's one that I'm definitely going to tune into, yeah.
And I got bad news for everyone. Grandview gets a bye week and gets healed up.
Yeah, great. Awesome.
Great.
So much fun for everyone. Same thing with Friends.
And Friends, they get to relax, yeah.
Yeah, this next week overall it's an idle week for a lot of people. The KCAC is idle. The Heart is idle. So, and then everybody else with just natural buys this week. There's a lot of people that aren't playing this week that are going to get healthy. And Friends, they got tested by Ottawa this week. I watched a little bit of this game. Ottawa did a very good job with their game plan. So that's bad for everybody else, because now Friends has a whole week to kind of stew on the fact that they didn't score 60 points and just completely dominate every minute of this game. Coach is going to be getting after them down there in Wichita. Elsewhere, Montana Western, they did get the victory over Southern Oregon. First road win, I think I saw, by Montana Western, either ever or in a very long time, in Ashland, Oregon. So that was a nice win by Montana Western. Eli Norse became the all-time leading receptions wide receiver, whatever, all-time leader in receptions for Montana Western this week. St. Thomas blows through Ave Maria, and then we saw the Southeastern game. Any thoughts, Pat?
No, I think, like you said, Montana Western is kind of, quietly going through their schedule after that first, week 1 or week 0 loss to Montana Tech. But they're a good football team. And I'm telling you, Jason, this is a big one coming up. We'll talk about it here a little bit with Carroll College. That's going to be a very telling match in that very deep conference.
Rest of the way through here, I mean, we basically talked about all these games. Marion got Madonna, Ottawa, Arizona, Langston. That was a Urban Edge Network broadcast of the week. I tuned into it for a little bit. Ottawa just the better team in this one. Langston didn't have a lot of answers for him offensively or defensively. The Spirit, very good team, and again, kind of waiting to see when they start going up against like the Texas Wesleyans of the world, even Louisiana Christian, who is a team that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But elsewhere in this top 25, kind of things went as expected, and some nice performances by these teams just to keep trudging along.
Yeah. I'm actually what do you think of Auto Arizona, Jason? I need to watch them a little closer. That they're also kind of that, that undefeated team that's flying under the radar to some level.
Mm-hmm.
I'm anxious to kind of see where they progress from this point, but undefeated football team, they're legit.
Yeah. Riley Murphy doing a great job getting that program going, taking over this year as a first-year head coach. Previously was the offensive coordinator at St. Thomas University. He's doing all the things. That program's doing all the things that they need to do to continue on at the level of play what they were. Now I got to see him against a little better competition and see how things shake out, because for all intents and purposes right now, record-wise, they are at the top of the Sooner. But I still believe Texas Wesleyan is a very good team. I think Louisiana Christian is on the rise this year. So there's some games coming up for them that they're going to have to be paying attention to. Spots 16 through 20. I did not get the final score on here for Carroll, Arizona Christian. Carroll ended up winning that game. I think it was 31-14, 35-14, something like that. Actually, I've got it right next to me here. I could stop guessing and actually do my job. 34-12, that's what it was. They got the victory there. Everything else, Concordia gave up a lot of points to Mount Marty. Mount Marty's offense, we've seen this year that they can sling it. And so maybe a little bit of a makes you think about what Concordia's pass defense is going to be like. Obviously, Mount Marty found a way to get the ball down the field on them, throwing it, put up a lot of points, but Concordia stays undefeated. They're one of the 3 undefeated teams in the Great Plains Athletic Conference now, and Concordia goes up against Midland this next week. Not a lot else out of this to really highlight, Pat.
Not really. Tons of bye weeks next week as well. So, not a whole lot of big games on the docket for next year, next week, other than Carroll and Montana Western coming up.
Spots 21 through 25. Texas Wesleyan gets the big win over Arkansas Baptist. Northwestern loses on the road to Hastings College. We mentioned that earlier. They're going to get Briar Cliff this week to see if they can get right. And then Mid-American Nazarene, McPherson, and College of Idaho all kind of rolls through their opponents, and then they all roll into a bye as well.
A lot of buys, bud.
A lot of buys. The stock rising go this week. Florida Memorial, St. Francis, Louisiana Christian. I like the wins that they all got this week. Gets my eyes back on them. I think these are programs that are on the verge, right outside that top 25, starting to make a little bit of noise with their wins. So definitely keep my eye on them. They're doing that with their stock right now.
Totally on board. They're going to be tested here shortly, a couple of these programs. Some big games coming up.
All right, let's roll in. Don't forget, coming out tomorrow morning, the Victory Sports Network NAIA Football Top 25. That'll be posted when everybody wakes up in the morning. And housekeeping. You got housekeeping in there?
No, my roommate just showed up in the.
Oh, there we go.
old football coach.
Pat's on the road this week, so that's okay. Rolling in. So NAIA Football Top 25 tomorrow. All right, let's get into the featured games brought to you by Chick-fil-A this week. We've got 2 different slides, starting first with the teams that are not, there's not top 25 ratings or anything like that, but I mentioned Midland's at Concordia. Louisiana Christian goes up against Texas Wesleyan on the road. This will be a real test for LCU. Siena Heights has got St. Xavier, and Cumberland, Tennessee sitting quietly at 3-2, and Bethel, Tennessee sitting at 2-2. Whoever wins this game kind of becomes that next team in the Mid-South Conference. Like, all right, maybe they've got a chance to make a little noise as they start conference play. Pat, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, totally agree. That victor in the Cumberland and Bethel, Tennessee game. You have Campbellsville, you have Lindsey Wilson, obviously the undefeated teams at this point. Who's going to be that third? Georgetown's dropped a couple now. Going to be very telling who wins that football game, kind of how things are going in that league. And I'm with you with Louisiana Christian, Texas Wesleyan. We'll see what Louisiana Christian really is this week.
Yeah,
I think they'll be really, really tested and have a true evaluation of where they are.
Yeah, I think Concordia, they've got to be careful against Midland. Midland's a team that I'm behind. I still think that they're a quality program. They're probably going to be kind of middle of that conference again. Concordia can't sleepwalk through that game. They need to come ready to play, and they've got to figure out what's going on with that passing defense. They gave up a lot of passing yards this week. And St. Xavier, Siena Heights, kind of the same thing, with Cumberland and Bethel there. One of those teams needs to get a victory and, could potentially rise their stock a little bit in their conference and for the rest of the season there. All right, let's get into the big ones. We know what the biggest game is of the week. I'll go to that one last. Cumberland's, I had mentioned earlier, they had played Campbellsville, very tough. They've played a bunch of games this year where they, have put up a bunch of yards. They've run a real opportunity here to make some noise against the Lindsey Wilson team on the road. So Cumberland's going to be coming in, everything firing, trying to knock off one of the best teams in the country. I think Lindsey Wilson is going to get that victory, but keep your eye on that game. And then, of course, Florida Memorial going to Kaiser University. Florida Memorial knocks off Southeastern this week. Kaiser still kind of the cream of the crop right now in the Sun Conference, but could Florida Memorial come into that game, play physical against Kaiser, and, maybe shock them a little bit. And then you've got Marion going to Taylor. Taylor, we'll see how they come off the quarterback injury and how things are banged up there. Marion, on paper is the better team, but they're playing at Taylor, which is a very tough place to play. And then, of course, Carroll College at Montana Western, top 25, the only full top 25 battle of the week in NAIA football. The Bulldogs trying to, show everybody they're still a top 10 program. And hey, don't forget about us here. We're going to continue to beat teams and win while Carroll College trying to go on the road, get a big victory in the Frontier Conference. Your thoughts, Pat?
We know how challenging it is to win on the road in the Frontier. I think this is a game for Carroll, probably the biggest they've had in a long time, to kind of showcase where they really are, because they believe they are in contention for that conference championship. And there's no reason to believe otherwise. But this is a big-time game to go on the road to Dillon and compete against Montana Western. And Montana Western, again, has that one loss and has really kind of blown the doors off everybody else since. So I think this is a big-time matchup with two playoff quality teams.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I want to see, Carroll College has got a really nice secondary. Couple good plays there. I think Brandon Orlandi. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Brandon Orlandi. He's an All-American defensive back. He's going to be going up against the Eli Norses of the world. So to see that matchup, that's one that's definitely got me intrigued. Carroll College defense versus the Montana Western offense, who bends, who breaks, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. So going to be a great one. We'll obviously continue to break that down throughout the week. Around the Nation comes out, my article on Wednesday that kind of gives a little more in-depth analysis of these key games that we're bringing up. And then, Kaiser and Florida Memorial, again, my eyes on that one. Was it a fluke by Florida Memorial? Can they test Kaiser? Is Kaiser that much better than everybody else? And we were just maybe understating how good they were going to be coming back with Shea Spencer at quarterback and the slew of players they had coming back from last year's national runner-up finish. I think we'll find out some of that this week. So some really nice football games here, Pat.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think Florida Memorial can match up with Kaiser, at least athletically. I'm anxious to see, can they defend them? That's going to be the big thing, especially that run game. But I think, across the board from an athletic standpoint, it's a very, very good matchup. And I think Kaiser is going to be tested by those athletes, because we saw Florida Memorial put a ton of points up, tons of big plays. They have speed. They have good backfield. So I think those are interesting matchups, this next week for sure, all these games.
Yeah, absolutely. Cumberland's Lindsey Wilson, that's definitely got me intrigued. If Cumberland's comes out, slings the ball, throws it all over the field against Lindsey Wilson, I don't really think that we've seen a team throw the ball effectively or be primarily a quality passing attack like Cumberland's has got. So that'll be very interesting. And with that said, we've got through our featured games. We've got through the NAIA talk. Before we roll into our final couple minutes of talking here, anything else to add on the NAIA football front from you, Pat?
No, I'm here in Minneapolis working. So I've got meetings here this evening. So a lot of fun. Good flight. I was up at 4 a.m. Yeah. I'm dragging. But yeah, man. I had fun in my time in the airport this morning watching some NAIA football games from yesterday. And, nothing better to pass time to watch a little football. So I got to do that this morning.
The Midwest Jason in me is sitting here going like, Pat's only 3.5 hours from me. I should go see him. It's just short 3.5 hour drive from Fargo down to Minneapolis to come see you there. And that's your convention center that you've been at. I have visited that place. Shocking, I'm sure.
Shocking. I was going to say, I'm at a casino, so I'm shocked that you're not just here on a normal, Monday tomorrow.
They don't have sports gambling there.
There's no sports gambling in Minnesota. I just found that out.
Yeah, I've gone there. I've been there. I've lost money there, but I don't frequent there as much. When I lived in Mankato for a year, Mankato's about an hour south of there. So I spent a little more time, Prior Lake, Shakopee, that whole area. Heck, you're not too far from the Mall of America there. Get yourself some Mall of America stuff. Do you know the whole like Mall of America, like that site history, what that used to be, right?
No,
it used to be Metropolitan Stadium. That's where the Twins and the Vikings played for many, many years. Home base is still in there. I think there's a seat on one of the walls where I think Kent Herbeck hit a home run to it or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
I guess I didn't realize that, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was there probably 10 years ago or less. I was there. Yeah, I'm not going to go back. Took the kids.
Well,
We're good.
Once is enough. It was plenty of fun.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't know anybody, and I know people that live in Minneapolis. I don't know many people that live in Minneapolis that are just like, yeah, we need to go to the Mall of America and go shopping this weekend. Like, they're all like, yeah, no, you tourists, you people that come to town like once every 6 months, you guys can go there. We'll go to the other stores and we'll leave that place to you.
I do think the locals actually do eat Juicy Lucy's, though.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Matt's Bar. Matt's Bar is, I say, where you got to go for the Juicy Lucy. That's my favorite.
I'm on board. So
it's and for those of you that don't know, Juicy Lucy is a hamburger patty, but the cheese is cooked inside the patty. So when you get it, it is a little bit like molten lava if you bite into it too fast. So you got to set that to the side. You got to eat the fries as they come out, drink your beer a little bit, whatever you're having, and then get into the Juicy Lucy, because otherwise you will end up in the emergency room if you dive into that thing too fast.
You burn your face off for sure.
Absolutely. I didn't get a whole lot of time to go through emails this week. We're kind of letting them build a little bit here for our for the Love of the NAI story time. But you did bring up one thing to me privately in a little text message earlier that you did notice this week amongst one of our NAI teams that we were evaluating.
Well, it's funny.
And in the world that you work in, what your convention is for, it's like, I know a guy that can help you. Go ahead.
I know. I noticed it. Like, you can't have mismatched helmets, Jason. Like, you can't have a standard gloss helmet match with a matte finish helmet. And I did see that this weekend of an NAI team. So that's a tough look for a guy that sells equipment now. So just going to bring it up. Short for love of the NAI this week, but for the love of the NAI, let's get matching helmets. Come on.
Yeah. So your group that you work with, you've got sales reps all over the country. You got to go find a regional guy and be like, hey, I got a lead for you. Go talk to him. That's going to
happen this week.
Helmets.
There's a lot of networking going on this week, and that will happen. I promise you. And we will reach out to that university.
And I guess you could say the other for the love of the NAI that we had this week was my direct message that I had to our good friends at Southeastern, not just Southeastern, but just broadcast in general. Please stop switching the camera in the middle of the play. To keep it on that high 50. And maybe there's an explanation. I don't mean to hammer on people. I mean, I know we're dealing with students. We're dealing probably with smaller budgets, but I actually had another conversation with somebody else this week about NAI football broadcasts. And, it used to be you could have a single camera and an audio feed going into it, and that's it. Everybody's gotten a lot more complex with this, and there's nothing wrong with the people that still have the single 50s if you do it right. If you just have one camera and you do it right, that's all you need. But get a good stream out there, worry less about everything else that makes it look like this national broadcast, and get the basics done first. It's just like a football team. Like, hey, if we can't hand the ball off, if we can't take a snap, all this other stuff doesn't matter to us at all.
I have a really good piece of advice. Watch football on TV. They don't do that. Pretty simple. Don't try to reinvent the way the game is shot, please.
Yeah, it's pretty
See
simple.
the play its entirety on that one shot, please.
Yeah. We don't need anybody out there trying to get a film award off of a football game. Just make it entertaining and let us watch it. That's all we need.
I will tell you, Jason. We brought this up a few times this year. I'm guessing it won't be the last time either.
No. At some point, we'll just stop talking about it. But we are
doing what we can to get things changed and improved. Certainly,
you the fan that is watching this, we say these things for your benefit and for your enjoyment down the road. So, all right, Pat, it's been fun again this week. We're back, of course, every Sunday night at 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central. Coming up this week from the Victory Sports Network, Top 25 on Monday, Chips Picks on Tuesday, Around the Nation on Wednesday. And then, of course, I put up the Top 25 schedule and who everybody's got on Friday. Thursday is a day of rest, I guess, for me. But that's usually where I do a whole bunch of evaluation of everything else. So that's what we've got coming up. You've got a couple days away from home, and then you get to be back home, and then we get to do this again next Sunday. So there we have it, man.
Sounds good. Looking forward to next week.
All right. He is Pat Donnelly. I'm Jason Dannelly. This has been NAI Football with Dannelly and Donley from the Victory Sports Network. Get on out there and enjoy some NAI football this week, folks.